get started, summer school. Anybody at the sites where summer school is going on? Here's some positive things, a lot of students. No? Junior high?
We're live.
We were at the training.
It's it's almost 6:45.
We said we're live.
Yep, it's gonna.
There's some positive things. Don't have the numbers though. We're not gonna show that yet. But we are gonna fill in some more tomorrow for the no-shows.
And Mr. De Leon, you're giving me a signal.
Yeah, at 45 it'll.
Gotcha.
Okay. Okay. It is now 6:45. 1.0 opening of meeting at 6:45. Is there a need for an interpreter? Okay, doesn't seem to be a need. If you can just stick around for a little bit longer in case someone comes in, thank you. 2.0, call to order. 3.0, roll call. Emmanuel Lopez,
Here.
Merced Zamora,
Here.
Freddie Espinoza,
Here.
John Alvarez,
Here.
Sabrina Gomez,
Here.
and myself. We can all please stand for the flag salute. Superintendent Mendes, will you please lead?
Yes. Ready? Salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Thank you for everyone that came tonight. I know it's summer, so thank you. 4.0, adoption of agenda. 4.1, adoption of the agenda is requested as presented.
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion by John Alvarez and second by Sabrina Gomez. Is that correct?
Yes.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried 5-all. 5.0, consent calendar. 5.1, approval of the regular board meeting minutes for May 27th, 2025.
Motion? Second.
We have a motion by Freddie Espinoza, second by Merced Zamora. Is that correct?
Yes.
Are there any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's 401 with myself abstaining. 5.2, approval of released warrants dated May 29th, 2025 in the amount of $739,166.70.
Motion.
Second.
Have a motion by John Alvarez, second by Merced Zamora. Is that correct?
Yes.
Are there any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried 5-all. 6.0, awards presentations. 6.1, recognition of student board member. Take it away, Mr. Mendez.
Yes, like, I will take it away. So in recognition of Emmanuel Lopez, student board member for the 24-25 school year, with appreciation for your time, dedication, and astounding service to representing the entire, really, the entire student body of Farmersville Unified School District, but specifically Farmersville High School. Your voice reflected pride, spirit, and the Aztec Empire, which is huge. It's always, always positive, informed, and full of heart. You're smart, you're witty, you're funny, you're committed, and you brought the events of Farmersville High School to life. And for that, we're thankful. Thank you for your ASB leadership, everything that you've done at Farmersville High School, your commitment, your partnership with Dr. Gonzalez. And so we are very proud to recognize all of your contributions. And on that note, if you can please come up to the front. And if we can give this young man. We are so very proud of you, young man. Come right on over here. honors. This is what it's about. Okay, from K to 12, you've been part of Farmersville. So presented to Emmanuel Lopez for the honorary service as student board member, Farmersville Unified School District, January 2025, May 2025, and we give you all the things. Farmersville up in. Thank you so very much. Would you like to say some words?
Over here? Do you want me to-
Wherever you'd like.
I didn't expect to be here tonight. I was informed before graduation, Dr. Gonzalez asked me to be here. And, he asked me to set up something to talk about the school. And I want to talk about my whole life throughout the high school, but I couldn't because it's not just me, it's the whole school. And, being a part of this school, being a part of this community, it was a blessing, and that was like nothing I could ever ask for. I made family, made friends. I got attached to people I didn't know, my teachers, our principal, even though he was here for a year. He really helped us out, and through all my struggles, he was there. And our vice principal too, Mr. Billings, helped me out a lot. And Mr. Mendez here, who was there for me through, like he said, pre-K. And it was an honor to be here and an honor to be in the school. I did go to Exeter, but like he said, or I don't know if it was one of you guys, once an Aztec, always an Aztec, and I feel like I represented that. And going on, I feel like there's students who will take on what I should have done and take on everything that still needs to be cleared. And I hope that they do that, and in hopes that I could be here, or I was here one last time with all of you guys, and it was such a blessing to be here. And during the board meetings, I wouldn't drop it for anything, and I actually did drop something to be here. And just so you guys know, I was gonna go watch the premiere for a show, but I chose to be here. And like I said, I didn't want to cry, but looking at all of you guys makes me want to cry. I would probably, you know.
Okay, well, before you mess up your makeup and everything, can we get a picture
Yes,
also with all of us?
let's definitely take a picture.
I should say my name, but anyway.
I know. Oh, I didn't know. I didn't know.
Dr. Gonzalez, make sure you're a part of this picture, please.
Someone's home.
Anyone else want to cry?
We got a few more gifts for you. We have a few more gifts for you, young man. Here is one of our lanyards, our Farmersville Up lanyard.
Ooh, I like
And
it.
then a nice shirt. You're a part of us. This is what every single one of our staff members got, so you're part of our team. And so thank you so very much for being a part of us.
Thank you, I appreciate it. My mom actually, it's a funny story. My mom actually said I should stop wearing a Farmville attire, but another one's in the collection. Because as you know, I wear a lot of Farmville, so.
Well, thank you very much. And you can continue with us if you would like.
Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. Thank you. Oh, wow, I still have to talk about the graduation.
Student report.
There's a ruse.
Wrong.
Wait.
You felt surprised?
I was like, those aren't my holes. I felt the musical chair contest.
Emmanuel, we're still recognizing you, so thank you for being here, even though you had graduated and you came back for this meeting. It shows true commitment, and I want to thank you for, like Mr. Mendez said, bringing all those activities to life. You weren't always serious, which is a good thing. We need some laughter here and then. So thank you again for all you did. Anybody else wants to say something before we give it over to Emmanuel to finish up his story?
What a perfect way to end your senior year, hanging out with us.
I wish I was here the first semester, but I think it was our treasurer who ended up coming, Melanie, and she told me, she's like, I don't have time. I'm like, I'll take over. I'll be here for you guys. So it was a pleasure.
Thank you.
Anyone, you guys?
Mr. Elvers?
Yeah, no, we do appreciate you. You're like a light every time you walk around smiling all the time. And you actually remember people's names, which is good too, it helps. But I see you being a community leader, right?
Yes.
You have the grounding, you got the good heart, and you know what it is to give. So it's very important. You got them all. You got it. Appreciate you.
You're a better speaker than I am at, and I always applaud you in that area. Like right now, you gave a speech and that was beautiful. Just want to say, sometimes when I look at you, I see myself when I was in high school, and like Mr. Alvarez said, I see you coming back to the community, helping us out, and maybe one day sitting here with us, not as a student, but as a board member, and also helping us continue taking care of the community the way you have, the way you take care of the students, and the way you represented them. So really appreciate that.
I would say same thing. You bring your own, like Mr. Mendez likes to say, his own little flavor to the tacos, and makes things a little spicier with it, with your attitude. Definitely very tenacious spirit in you. I definitely, see great things, and hopefully you could keep on the same, I would say, attitude you had here to later on in your future endeavors, and definitely see you going in great places. Best of luck.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, one last time. Let's go, Emmanuel. Let's hear it.
You
Let's
guys
hear
ready?
it loud and proud.
One last
Manuel.
time. Hey, everyone's ready?
Yeah, we're ready for you.
Let's get this started. See, I'm not as nervous as the first time I was here. So, good evening, Board President Lopez, school board members, Superintendent Mendez, school administrators, teachers, and community members. My name is Emmanuel Lopez, and I was a former Associated Student Body President at Farmersville High School. It is my pleasure to be here tonight as a representative of the entire student body at FHS. Tonight, I would like to share the last activities that happened at the Farmersville High School. On Monday, June 2nd, we had our farewell for our seniors after 4th period. It was a great way to send off our seniors and a way to show love to our retiring teacher, Ms. Preheim. She will be missed, and glad we had a great send-off for the seniors and her. But on the other hand, the seniors' advisors and some of the administration hosted the senior sunset, and as a senior who went, it was beyond what I could ask for. For our last barbecue of the year, and it had many more memories. Most of us didn't want to get out of the pool at the time we got out. Although the night ended, it wasn't even the last activity. We had our practices on Monday morning and Thursday morning for graduation. Everything went well during the practices, and it came down to Thursday evening. Everyone was nervous, and it felt like they didn't want to leave. I know for myself, as I was nervous just putting on that gown. We all got there at 6 and took pictures for our last memories. We did our last Aztec chant before we walked out to the track. The memories hit us all, thinking we were just having a 2-week off due to COVID before our freshman year. And if it wasn't even, it's not gonna be one of the biggest stages of our lives, but in high school it was. As you may know, I opened up the ceremony, and then my fellow students had their speeches, where it was in fact breathtaking because I could never hear them talk like that in person. But being up there just took a lot of courage for them, and I applaud them all. And following up the amazing speeches from Mr. Mendez and our very own principal, Dr. Gonzalez. We got our diplomas even though no one thought we would get them due to COVID. Dr. Gonzalez talked one last time and ended the ceremony. The night was the best night of any senior's night, and hopefully it continues for many upcoming seniors and underclassmen along their journey in high school. I thank you all for everything and letting me talk one last time. I didn't think I was gonna be here tonight, but look at me, sharing the last moments of our high school career if not the best high school career. Leading into the future and forward, I would like to thank Dr. Gonzalez for asking me to come to share to these meetings and share many memories. And I would like to thank you all, the community, Superintendent Mendez and President Lopez, as well as the other board members for letting me be beside them and share the great memories happening at the Farmersville High School. Go Aztecs.
All right.
I was nervous.
Okay, are you gonna be able to catch the premiere, or are you too late now?
Oh, not too late. I'll catch it I'll catch it tomorrow.
Okay,
Are you gonna stick around with us, Emmanuel, or did you wanna?
I'll stick around.
okay, thank you. I just wanna make sure I tell you, wear your Aztec attire all the time. I've been wearing Aztec attire and I didn't even go to school here since 2000, okay? So, I have some old stuff.
I wear my Aztec attire, even to Visalia stuff.
I know my dad actually tells me everywhere we go he's cautious. He tells if we go to Porterville, don't wear anything high school related or the Farmersville. I put on more, like a lot of my sweaters just so he wouldn't know. I take it off and he was like, ¿Qué estás haciendo? And I'm like, you gotta represent. Like everywhere you go, you gotta represent.
Exactly.
And even if I wasn't in school, you still have to represent. It's a great community and a great place to be, and I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Hey.
Thank you. All right. Okay, now to the other stuff that we got going. 6.2, Principal's Response to Intervention Update.
This one's for me?
As school board members, we do have Dr. Gonzalez, Mr. Sanchez, doing a quick report on response to intervention.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
You're welcome. These are fresh.
Nice and warm. Thank you, sir.
Warm, but some are not.
I'm gonna need your autographs.
Actually, pardon me, but I do have to go. I just got a text from my mom saying if I don't be at the house right now, I'm gonna.
Okay.
You're gonna
All right,
miss
well,
dinner?
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you, sir. See you, sir.
Bye.
Take care. Stay
It was a good time. Thank you.
Hey, boss. Yeah.
You know where to find us.
I will.
Yes, good luck.
Is your guys' in color? Good night.
All right, well, good evening, everyone. My name is Chris Sanchez. In a few moments, you'll hear from Dr. Gonzalez, and we have the pleasure to represent our schools this evening and talk about what had been requested, I believe, a few months ago in regards to our student services academically. So thank you, everyone, for this opportunity, everyone listening in. That's what it's all about right there, right? We got to get them ready. We have to get them ready for the high school and beyond. And I know that when I left the high school, we were talking about Aztec ambassador and what an Aztec ambassador that young man and many others that we know will be. So what do we do to get them there? We focus on our tiered systems. So our first system, our tiered system, is all students. All students have access to tutoring after school at Farmersville Junior High School, 2:30 to 3. This year, due to CSI, you may remember what I presented a while back with CSI, which, again, let me throw that in there. We were exited from CSI as of December 2024, but we still had some of those funds to use. How are we going to use them? Well, a few things that we did is we brought out some preps. We brought out some preps from 4 teachers to promote a singleton class for 2 math classes and 2 ELA classes. And what that did is, on one hand, it challenged those students who were ready due to multiple measures, CAFS, STAR, grade mark, and teacher observations, but it also allowed the other students who maybe needed a little bit more time, things like examples, extensions of the lessons to fully understand the concepts. Those students remain in their classes so that they can go at that different pace. Simultaneously, we kicked off a tutoring, which used to be done a while back. I believe it was called Falcons Next, if I'm not mistaken. And basically, it's an extension of tutoring from 3 to 4. And so what we did was we looked at the data that we had from the grading periods up until February, and their marks, their STAR assessments, their benchmarks, and we said, we feel like these students, which were about 130 at the time, could really benefit from an additional amount of tutoring. We welcomed all students, but these are 130 students that we really targeted to see if we can get them some additional support, and it worked. We saw a 37% increase in their grades. Their GPAs went from a 2.4 to a 2.8 on average. So that was a success that we experimented with up until spring break. After that, we targeted in onto CAS testing. For the Farmsville Junior High School, our CAS testing is May. But in addition, we still try to have Saturday schools. The junior high has Saturday academies, mostly targeted to the reclassification process. So our ELD students and the program, we are in the works of extending that to ELA and math. So not only does the student get attendance credit, but they also get additional, more targeted interventions for math or ELA. Because really what the Saturday Academy right now is, it's really helping them how to pass that test. Because if they pass that test when they get to the high school, they don't have to take ELD. They can take that welding class, they can take that construction class, they can take that pathway of whatever that student desires. And additionally, we have after school program. They're there from 2:30 to, they get there sooner, but right when 2:30 bell rings, we transition our kids in. They're able to stay with their tutor or teaching fellow representative, and then they go into their instruction, which is an activity, extension of the lesson, and then some sort of project-based learning, depending on their curriculum, and that is from 3 to 6. Right now, as you know, we have summer school, and that is an additional resource that we have. We want to make sure that we're giving all those students the supports they need for ELA, math, science, and history. But there are opportunities where we get to, you've heard me say this already, extend the lesson. And we're able to do that at times to meet all levels. And an example of that is for the first time ever, I believe, we're able to send students to COS. If you were at the promotion, you heard some of that. We have UC Merced at our campus right now, and they're targeting students for math, 7th and 8th grade. And then you have the beautiful flyer there that our counselors made, because it really is the whole student, and they embody that. And that is just a quick example of what we're trying to do. Not only does it give facts, but it also shows the other avenues, the other systems that are within a child and that we need to reach. It's our responsibility to reach so that they can meet their true potentials. Any questions about those areas or any of the topics I brought up?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
So how long will you be able to continue doing what you're doing after school with the leftover funds, or has it already depleted? Like, is it done?
Actually, we do. I don't know the exact number, but I'm working with Mr. Ochoa and Mrs. Flores to see how much money would be available. But my understanding is that there is funding available so that we can continue that process. If not, we are being educated on how to use other funds to assist with that. There is LCAP funding, I believe, that will be tied into that. We are learning more about Title I that could help with that as well. And so as long as it's on our SBSA, we should be able to do it.
So you want to continue?
Absolutely.
So no matter what, if that funds are done, you're just going to try to continue this, just to keep. Okay, that's good.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Mhm.
Nice.
Good job.
I'm not done yet, sir.
The teacher fellow representative,
Yes.
the teaching fellow, who would that be?
So the teaching fellow, they have their own hiring system, so
Okay,
that I
so
would defer to
through-
the after-school program, but for the most part, they are college students that are aspiring to be educators. And what's really nice, I haven't been able to touch base too much with the other sites, but I know at the junior high, a lot of these are former students. So they've graduated from the high school, and they're on their second or third year in college.
Oh, okay, that's really good.
Mhm.
I was looking through the slides just so that way I can make sure, like, you might not be answering
Oh.
this. What electives do we have? What electives do you have at your school?
Right now, right now, or what we did?
Well, what you did, and then, or what you did have, are you trying to change them for the students, what their options are for elective
Well, it's always
classes?
based on student
Just
request.
Okay,
So whatever the student requests, we're gonna do our best to have that. And thankfully, with our counselors, we have various forms of data, and so they get 4 options. And then we do our
Okay.
best to give them their number
I think
one.
I've seen that list recently, so
Mhm.
I'm answering my own question. I think I know what that is.
Our
Um,
former ASB president did a wonderful Canva video to our
Yeah.
6th graders, and they were able to see the electives that we have.
Okay, one last question. For summer school, is it only for like intervention to get caught up, or is there an opportunity for students to take other classes, like to get ahead or any extra?
So there's various models. If students show up, we're gonna do our best to fit them in what we feel they need.
Okay,
Yes.
that's all.
All right. Ms. Lopez?
Thank you.
Okay. There is one more, that's just some other additional information that I kind of mentioned. This is a little bit more on the benchmark. So this is the same period from that February to that April time where we were experimenting with the additional tutoring. And so I did mention the 2.4 to 2.8 GPA increase. And then you can see the percentages correct based on the benchmark that we had prior to the CAFS testing. And so you want to see them definitely, in my opinion, above that 65% range, because then you're targeting the proficient area into the advanced area. And then lastly, have to talk about this because it's ongoing, the reclassification status. So from that point to now, we're about 52. We have 32 in the works, and ultimately that's to help get them ready for the high school so that they have that legitimate shot to enter into that pathway.
Okay, I do have one question regarding your tutoring. And my question is there like one specific tutor that you have teaching each group of students so you know if they're being effective or not being effective?
So based on the data, we had 5 teachers, 2 math, 2 ELA, and 1 science. And so that was all placed on an Excel sheet. And what we did is we looked at how those students were progressing, which is how we got part of the 2.4 to 2.8 GPA.
Okay.
So we saw an increase overall.
Overall.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank
Were
you.
all your questions answered?
Yes.
Thank you.
I think my next questions will be,
For high school.
yeah.
Good evening, Board President Lopez, School Board members, Superintendent Mendez, district employees, and community members. My name is Jesus Gonzalez, proud principal of Farmersville High School, and this evening I'm going to continue with the request that was made about 2 months ago as far as our data of students, where they're at in comparison with our SPED, EL, and general population, and then also interventions that we do at our school site. So the first thing that you see there is the report from the end of the 5th grading period. So you could see where we were focusing more on the information that was requested of our F percentages overall. All students 7% cumulative in all their classes, EL and our SPED. At the end of the school year, it trickled down to all students about 5%, and our SPED was down to 10%. still had failures within their grades given, but there were some good trends or supports to lower those numbers, also with our ELs. So that's just the overall. With us, interventions, there's many, and some that were just mentioned a little while ago. We definitely have a tier 1, 2, and 3 system. We have a weekly meeting, MTSS, that's done with administration, counselors, school psychologists, social worker, and such, so we could discuss the twofold. One is the student behavior, and two is the student academic needs. So when we meet, we discuss what students are we focusing on, what is the data telling us. In our interventions, it goes from tier 1, where we're talking about scaffolding lessons with graphic organizers and concept of focus activities. We also make the proper accommodations for individual students, especially the ones with our IEPs. We use academic vocabulary and growth focus to provide another assessment grade using the post-test for academic vocabulary, grouping students with high, middle, and low within groups in a classroom. Reviewing exit tickets and begin reteaching with warm-up activities. So again, as students are going to leave for the class after 52 minutes, the goal is to get informative data. So students do something really short, quick, 3 to 5 minutes, but that way the teacher could actually be assessing, did the students learn what they need to learn today? And if do I need to go circle back the first 5 minutes of class or first 10 minutes to catch them up? That way there'll be less gaps in their learning. Recap activities allowing students to earn points on previous standards by completing assessments based on spiraling into previous concepts. Provide rubrics for students to use to revise and resubmit essays and assessments. And we know also the study with rubrics is self-assessment. So when students know what is expected, then they're more prone to understand and learn that information. Reteaching intervention that is led by core teachers after school. A little while ago there was a comment made about after school tutoring. We have it in our school plan for student achievement this year. The good and the funny part is we have that money set aside, but at the high school we also have extra money, A through G grant, that's given so teachers could actually work with students to make sure that we get our high school students on A through G track, so they save us a little bit of money as schools plan for student achievement. Also, we have after school program that also pays tutors in the library. So we have actually 3 different models or opportunities, and like anything else, we use other models that are put in place, and that way we could move our money from the Title I to other expenses. So we have that in place for reteaching. Individual and small group reteaching activities during class. That is something that we've been working on with our teachers and kind of provided from the district standpoint is we need to reteach at the moment and not 3-4 weeks down the line when students are taking the big assessment. It has to be the quick and short pivoting to the student needs. Student-led tutoring and reteaching after school intervention program, jigsaw puzzles, gallery walks activities for high school kids again to reteach or relearn the concepts and collaboration. Saturday school, that was kind of mentioned, we have a couple of things. We have monthly Saturday schools all year long. We've averaged about 3 to 4 teachers, about anywhere from 100 to 120 students showing up on Saturday schools for us. We also partnered with UC Merced, and we did like a math academy where the board, if you recall, you guys on a board transmittal approved for them to be going to Porterville College. The plan next year is not to go anywhere, to actually bring it to our home school. And that was focused directly with our juniors and providing them support for our CAS testing, if you will. Teachers led one-on-one conferences with the students and with meeting with parents. Our student study team and our counselors that meet with students and families. So especially at the high school level, when we're talking about seniors, because I know the request was made directly about our seniors, what are we doing to do everything possible to get those students to work and earn their high school diploma during their senior year? So there were many meetings with families, and there were very clear expectations as this is what the measurement is for your child, student in IEP or not, that have to pass this mark in order to graduate from Farmersville High School with a diploma. We were successful with that. I'm happy to say that during the second semester, all students that stayed with us, there was a few that did go to DCA, but all the students that stayed with us actually did graduate from Farmersville High School. So they all made the mark, some at the very last minute, day before. The cutoff was just the day before, and they made that mark. Students on IEPs and ones that were not. So we did everything within our power to let them earn their high school diploma, and they did that. So that is for the high school, and the next slides are for DCA. Do you have any questions for me for the high school?
I do. So it's for both, if you guys know the process. So we'll say there is a student that needs the assistance. Do you guys know the process that goes from getting them to the tutoring, if need be, all the way from the teacher maybe communicating with the counselor and the counselor communicating with the parent? Or is there a letter being sent home, or how do we address these issues with the kids?
I think the first indicator would be the progress report. That should be a clear metric.
So the
to
progress,
promise.
the progress report
goes
is.
home. Also, teachers send either a parent square. They must send a parent square for every failing student or near failing student. They should be receiving that at home through each progress report, as mentioned. Not just the progress report, after it has been sent out. Also, phone calls, personal phone calls have to be made by teachers. For
Yeah,
their
because my
students.
question is, I know that we do have benchmarks with testing and we do have the progress reports, but it seems that we're catching it when it's already far in advance. When if there's issues in the beginning, if we do have these services, maybe the teacher could pinpoint, because you could tell off the top of, we're gonna know that this person might has difficulty with this. Maybe we could do the intervention a little bit quicker than
Or
the
sooner.
standard marks with the report card or.
I think it's important too to also make sure that the teacher, staff member is accumulating an ample amount of data before they start making various types of scaffolding decision-making in the class. So as a district, the first thing that we do is we're looking at the STAR assessment. And so that should be done right away. Now that's only math and ELA, but we do have opportunities to align in the summer to gather those grades prior
Mr.
in so that
Sanchez,
we
I'm
have.
sorry to interrupt. Can you kind of turn that mic towards you?
Yeah.
Make sure it's on, so
Mr. Zamora, I think you're talking from the micro perspective, not at the back end, the 6-week or the progress report or the CAS.
Correct.
Can you talk about what happens during a class period? You alluded to ticket out the door, the
So
little
the-
things that are happening.
So are we talking, yeah.
The
so
day of.
The day of, I mean, you have the warm-up, you have the activity, then when we talk about taking out the door when they leave, there's multiple ways to do that, right? Measuring their knowledge. So, for example, I've kind of shared with teachers that when students, as they get understanding, and research shows with John Hattie that they can self-assess, students do a lot better. So you can put multiple folders up on the wall, and the kids can actually self-assess. I understood it highly, I kind of know it so-so, I don't know what's going on. And teachers not only should they be correcting that, but they start getting to feel like, you know what, either it's my teaching that needs to be redone, or I have a handful of students that I need to go back or collect the small groups. The myth is in elementary school, kids work in small groups on the kidney table, and high school no longer does, and we're changing that to high school. There's nothing wrong with teaching first instruction, the teacher providing that instruction, and then pulling it back and pulling a small group on a daily or weekly basis, not to your point, not until you already have a failing grade after 6 weeks. So that is something that's done, and we're preparing teachers to do that more often, especially at the high school level, because it's not often done. And as I've been at all 3 levels, it seems that at elementary, there's a very different mindset to catching those kids up. To your point, and I think Mr. Sanchez was alluding to it, the student study team, he talked about capturing data. So at that point in time, a parent could request a meeting with administration, counselors, and everybody else. A teacher could request that, or administration could request that, especially since we have weekly MTSS meetings. So we're trying to capture the students of saying who is struggling and why. Now, we all recognize at the high school level, they're a little older, 14, 18 year olds. So sometimes we talk about the will and skill. Kids that are, they just, they have the will to do it. They just need to be building up that skill, and others have other things going on at that particular age group or in life. So that's what we look at. We're doing those student study team. And then we don't react, we actually adjust. And then we say, you know what, let's make these adjustments to the classroom if it's one class or maybe multiple classes they're not doing well. And then let's come back in 6 weeks and see if that adjustment helped that student. And it could be as easy as having a very strong conversation with the student, and even the parents say, we're gonna do more often check-ins. So every week or every day, parent, here's your responsibility at home. Check off this thing, because you're checking them at home, and then we're gonna do our part. It's a partnership. So
It
that's
is.
part of it.
It's a team. The administrators have the responsibility to communicate with their teachers, their staff. Hey, what's going on? What's working? The teachers, we're digging deeper into what is a CFU and what is a CFA, because those are going to be quick measures for that teacher to understand, okay, where's the class going? How's that student doing? And then with the parents, learning how to use ARIES, checking it. When there's a question, quick parent square or a phone call, so that we can, as you were kind of alluding to, capture it sooner, because then it is gonna get to an SST, and at the SST, we should have enough information to make effective decision making.
Did we answer?
Yes.
Any other questions about the high school?
Quick question.
Yes.
So I'm more of like a visual learner, and so like for the students, like say I'm a new student, freshman, and like, is there like some type of document where it's kind of like, so like imagine Monopoly, where it's like you're starting here, your end is here, so it's gonna show maybe it could be breakdown of each year, or it could be four years, and it could say like you start here, hold your GPA to a certain standard, and in that first year, it shows you, like, you can go on another trail, which is the CTE, and then another trail, which shows you COS, and then that's your first year. And if you complete that, then your second year, you could actually move to these other avenues. Is there something for kids visually to see that?
Yes,
And, like,
there's a A
Yeah.
through G qualification, so not only for the high school graduation requirement, but also to be on track for a four-year college, if you will. So they're able to see how many units you need for both high school graduation and then to be on track for four-year, if you're saying that. And it kind of gives you just the outline of how many courses they're gonna have to take and how many electives they could take per year. as such.
You want that visual aid?
Yeah, do you guys have like a document that like has that, like with the students see?
There's a document.
Yeah.
Like
so
a
student has
visual
one.
aid, like?
Yeah, kind of like this, like, so you're here, this is your first year, but you're gonna hold your GPA all the way through, and then your CTE program, you'll actually graduate if you continue,
He wants to
kind
see
of
it.
like
The
visually.
matriculation guide that counselors
Yes,
use.
Yeah.
the counselors have like yours, and they
It's
meet
kinda
with
like
students yearly,
like a
yes.
catalog,
Mhm.
and it'll show 4 courses of ELA, 3 courses
Yes,
of math, it will show them, and the counselors will meet with the students to review their credits. It's based off their credits and what they need to do, now, what they need to do in the summer, and potentially if it's looking like they may need to go to DCA for credit recovery. So they're having those meetings
They-
regularly.
Yes,
They-
thank you for that.
Oh, sorry.
Oh.
The high school counselors, when they presented at the junior high for orientation, they do have a really nice formula, it's exactly what you're asking. You take this, you go
Mhm.
here, this capstone is here, COS.
Okay.
So,
Nice.
they do have one, it is helpful.
And they do an academic plan with them, so thank you very much for that.
Oh, nice.
So they sit with
Okay.
the students individually, and they actually plan out the 4 years, and sophomore the 3 years and such. They do that at every high school with counselors.
Say I wanted to sit in with someone just to kind of present to me like I'm a freshman and say, hey Freddie, like this is kind of the,
I
is
could
that
make an
possibility?
appointment for,
Yeah, could I make an
absolutely,
appointment and then
yes.
just kind of see
Beginning
the
of
process?
next year, I could make an appointment or
Yeah.
set something up where they could meet with you.
Yeah, that'd be
as
cool. That
counselors
way
come back.
I could better understand kind of what as a freshman goes through
Absolutely, sir.
and how they're presented the pathway, and make sure it's kind of just easy for me to understand.
No, that's fair.
You know.
Yeah.
Well, it's like what Dr. Gonzalez said, the student is gonna be more successful when they have a rubric, and that's like their rubric, they need to know what they're aiming for.
Mhm.
Here's another question for both of you. Do we have the, I would say, correct amount of staff to do the teacher-led one-by-one conferences with the parents? As in, do we know, I don't know how many students are probably in intervention compared to how many staff we have to do the intervention? Or is it one where we don't have enough teachers to help out, or do we?
Are you talking about the conferences?
Not necessarily just the conferences, more of the intervention, intervening, make sure that their
After
academics are, yeah.
After school or?
I would say after school, because that's what we're talking about, right? The more of
Yeah.
their
So there's
filling
definitely
within
enough
the
staff
school.
with after-school program, because I know that they meet in the library, and I see them there, Monday through Friday, and they're there till 6 PM. So there's definitely, there's more staff than students that are taking advantage of that opportunity, unfortunately. So we need to communicate more with our families and parents, so it's not overwhelming there. When our teachers do stay after school for like A through G, we have the contents, all contents are offered. But again, I think what we need to strengthen is students taking advantage of the supports that are offered.
Is that the same at the junior high? Because I know with junior high, as a parent, you have a little bit more pressure over your kids than high school kids.
So, with our example, we had about 130 kids, so we recruited at least 5 teachers, and we were successful with that. And goal was to have at least 20 to 25 in the class.
Oh.
And so what the model looked like was the students checked in after school for their snack. They were able to be there until 3, so to make sure they have time to relax, get their snack, and then at 3 o'clock, they deployed to the teacher. Once they were done with those additional tutoring services, really, they went back to the after-school program to finish off their day.
Now, I'm right in the middle of this whole thing here. So my first question is, child goes to summer school, they're in high school, they're doing English and math. Do they get to raise their grades for that year that they just passed right now?
They get to replace their grade, yeah. So if they're gonna go to summer school, like this summer school that just started,
Right.
if they work really hard, they'll probably catch up one semester, possibly one class. We're not gonna catch up at English and math. That's impossible to do.
Well, they've got a
20 days.
passing grade, but the idea is to get a higher grade in that same class.
If they failed, so it's for the high school,
Well,
summer
they-
school is credit recovery only. So only if
Exactly.
you failed, can you be going to summer school to make up that grade, if you will, to your point. So that could be, but if they pass the class already, it's not gonna be acceleration. So we're not doing acceleration. So if you pass math 1, you're not doing summer school for math 2.
No, that's not what I'm saying. So they got a D, they're going to summer school, it stays a D no matter what?
It
They
replaces-
retake, if they can well, that's a fantastic point. So I think what I'm hearing from Mr. Alvarez is, do they have enough time to accelerate that grade from a D to a C? Or do
If they retake the class, yes.
The entire class in
Yes.
2 weeks?
Now, if they don't finish it, about 3 weeks, if they don't finish it, then when they come back, they could continue the Apex, because that's what we're using, Apex for summer school. So let's say
Right.
they finish one semester and they just start the second semester, they can continue that with us when they come back to the high school, to replace that D to a C or B or.
So they're recovering the standards that they missed, right? They're not taking the full course.
They're taking the full course.
They are.
They're taking the full course, so,
In a small amount.
and then that way it could replace the grade that they wanna, replace.
Yeah.
So is a C
So like-
considered passing to you?
A C is passing.
Okay.
Even a D, you get credit for high school diploma. But if you're on an A through G track, you need a C or better.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
So, anyway, you know what I've been dealing with my granddaughter, and, she took her math test and scored 21 out of 22. So she knows what's going on, but she's not getting a better grade. So now she's going to summer school because that's not acceptable, but D's not acceptable. And she's doing that to raise the grade, but it sounds like that's not gonna work either.
No, yes, if she does better in summer school, it could replace it, especially if it's the right semester.
All right, and she's going for 2 weeks, or you're saying 3 weeks?
What's the end of June, right? Yeah.
June 27th.
So it's a 3-week summer school.
Summer school for
Okay.
credit recovery.
Okay, and then, you know, I get it, teachers aren't available, you know what I mean? You know what I've been through with math teacher not being available, going to parent conference, not being available, responding emails, not being available, you know, coming to you, right? Explain to me what to do, right? So we do that, another 21 assignments, didn't make a difference. You know what I mean? Counselor, no response from counselors. That's just my personal, and you know, I've been on campus, you know, I've been talking, you know, I've been there, open houses, and whole ball of wax. So I think we need to sharpen that up a little bit. And if it's just my child, my grandchild, that's the only one that's dealing with this, you know, then I guess I'm doing everything I can and get her in summer school and make this stuff up, but we're falling short. You know, and yeah, she loves sports, and she has to have the grade to play sports. And that's probably one of the big things that's driving her. But she takes a test and she gets 21 out of 22. You know what I mean? So it's like something's missing there. And I don't know what it is, but we're sure trying to figure this out. So she's in summer school to get these grades up. And if she can take an exam again at the end of the summer and gets the same grade she got in the last test, then I don't know what the problem is or what we can do. You know what I mean? So it sounds like a great program, but kids are falling through the cracks. So anyway, that's just my personal take. All right.
Well, first I want to say congratulations. You've completed your first year.
Yes.
And so I know you are probably catching some, some of the tail end of things that we've experienced, not only as parents, but sitting here on the board. So I do have a few things.
Sure.
To his point, how are you verifying that teachers are actually communicating with parents? Because I myself had, in the years, had communicated, reached out to teachers and never received a response. So is there one specific form of communication? Because you say Parent Square, but they don't respond to Parent Square. Or sometimes it's a whole month or two later, like, oh, I just saw this. So what is that form, and how are you going to verify, like, that every teacher is doing what they're supposed to be doing and communicating with the parents and reaching out to them or responding to them? How do we do that?
Yeah, by moving forward, creating a form for all students that are failing in the classroom at each progress report, and having teachers fill out that form per name and the call that was made or the parent square that went out to those families individually. So having that being done and then turned into administration.
And sometimes the kids aren't failing. Sometimes we just have a simple question that we need to know, or about an assignment, or just anything in general, and sometimes that's what it is. Or I wanted to show up at the back to school night, but I wanted to communicate with the parent or the teacher to let them know, hey, I'm not gonna be able to be there, but would my child still get credit, or what else needs to be done? And there's no response.
I think that if it's an individual, like parent to a teacher, then I wouldn't know that there's an email being sent between them, in that aspect.
Using
So-
Parent Square.
From
Yeah,
parent
using
to a
Parent
teacher,
Square.
or a teacher to a parent.
A parent to a teacher using Parent Square. And it could just be for anything, it doesn't even have to be for failing, just in general communication. Is there an expectation for teachers to respond back to parents, and is there a
They should be
timeline?
responding within 48 hours.
Yeah, okay.
Or at least within 2 months. Would be great.
At least.
Okay, and that's something that, you know, as he's experienced, I have myself, but you being, you know, coming in, these are things like, you know, hopefully we can clear up and.
Right.
The other thing that I have is for the ARIES, and this is at all levels. What is the expectation of teachers to keep ARIES up to date?
Every 2 weeks.
Every
That's
2
a
weeks?
commitment that we've made this year, and more importantly, the second semester.
Okay, and I would like to say that for the rest of the schools as well. What is that expectations from, you know, Hester all the way up to high school? Do you have, when it comes to late work turned in, is there an expectation of a time frame for them to grade it and update ARIES? Because I think that's one of the biggest things that parents come across, where they're like, oh my gosh, you didn't do that, I turned it in, they just haven't graded it.
If it's late work, again, it should fall within that same policy, within every 2 weeks. So if something turned in a week late or two, next time it's a 2-week session, then that should be updated.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, hopefully that's going. Okay, after school tutoring in the after school program, you did mention that you don't think that we're taking advantage of that, and we
Not enough
probably need to get that.
students. Yes.
And is that something that we would have to ask through the after school program? Like how, or,
And it's really, the after-school program does an amazing job of offering our teachers the opportunity. They really do. I think we've been very creative with adding, you know, math using golf angles. I mean, very different creative ways to try to get our students to stick around
Oh,
after
cool.
school.
okay. Saturday school, do you guys have an agenda for teachers? Is it expected of them to go through each child and say, hey, let's look at and see if you have any missing assignments, let's do it? Or is it free for them to decide how they run the Saturday school?
I've seen it done both ways. One is they have an agenda of what they're gonna be working on. Others is students coming in and doing work, of course, and it's gonna be all catch-up work. Because the teachers that actually volunteered to work on that Saturday and get paid, of course. Some of them are not the core teachers. So if I have a person that's in the CT realm and they're the ones that are doing it, then they're coming in to support the students and for the students to catch up and do the work that they need to.
Okay, I was
think
just
Mr.
curious.
Sanchez hit it too. It's a double-edged sword. You're
Yeah.
recovering attendance for a lot of our students. We offer that Saturday school for that. And then also the recovery of standards. There are teachers that recognize that their students, for whatever reason, didn't hit the mark on a specific lesson plan, and they invite students to come back and reteach.
Okay, last question, go ahead.
Oh.
Yeah.
Progress reports. You mentioned that you sent a progress report. So in the progress report, is there like a special invitation for the intervention? Or is it one of those things that the kid gives the parents and says, oh, here's my progress report, and it's like, oh, you need to do much better, and just leave it as it? Or is there like a line that basically says, your child is failing, we offer these services, please contact us?
There should be something in the comments.
Mhm.
If the child is getting a D or an F, there should be something written by the teacher that would insinuate parent conference immediately in danger of failing. And throughout various other progress reports, we'll send a school letter offering additional services.
Okay. Last one, sorry. Do we have TAs at the high school?
We do.
Do we utilize them to help tutor students in class, or how are they used?
Not in class. We have them either in the library during 6th and 7th because a lot of our seniors, if they are on par to graduate on time and they're doing well, then they could tutor during 6th and 7th period. In the classroom, they're there, but they're not utilized as far as kind of walk
As
outs for.
helping? Okay, just curious.
So, kind of want to piggyback off the app. On the app, is there someone who can oversee everybody's messages? Like, you can say like teacher A, B, C, D has not opened 1, 2, 3, and then it's like, oh, hey, so and so, you need to check those messages because I can see here you haven't opened 1 or 2, and it's been just to like kind of
Really monitoring.
to monitor, to
It's
oversee,
really awesome.
like, not that, I'm not saying that we need to, but I'm just wondering, because someone has control of the full app, you know?
Talking about Parent Square?
Yeah, Parent Square, so,
yeah, there's a weekly report and it shows the usage of who's using, who's sending message, and it does it by usage. So the top person that's using it for that week, it will show and it'll go all the way down.
Ooh.
Can both of you or one of you talk about the expectations or the conversations you have during your staff meetings, your agendized items, maybe talking about every 2 weeks, things gotta get updated?
Yeah, so-
You know, our areas, making sure you're answering all that communication, parent-to-teacher communication.
Absolutely. So I could talk about that. I mean, we've been talking about that all year, but the 2-week thing is not new. It just obviously hasn't been followed as closely as it's supposed to. It's actually now, this semester, we do it, and it's written in our collective commitments. So it took us quite a bit of months to get to a point to build a collective mission statement, vision, and collective commitments of what we're gonna be following. And one of them exactly that every 2 weeks, that everything needs to be updated and communicated. So that was just a few months ago. As far as other things about communication back to all parents, regardless of who they are, that should be done within 48 hours. Not just through Parent Square, but teachers get emails from parents inquiring about their kids, more than just grade, for grades and such, so.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest problems is you have teachers that are out, and who covers for them when they're out? Who handles their messages? Because we don't even know, and they're out. Okay, we get no response, so there's gotta be some way of monitoring that and seeing that you got a message in January, in March, in April with no response. You know what I'm saying? But there isn't, so it's hard to.
Yeah, I would circle back to our staff meetings. We try to categorize them in 3 sections based on our SPSA. So the first is academics, the second is school climate, and the third is parent engagement. And whenever we're hearing various matters, issues, concerns, we're gonna bring it up there. And then we're gonna follow up with probably our leadership team for maybe various other conversations, like, hey, how's it looking? Because right now you mentioned 21 out of 22, right? So for me, that's thinking, what does the grade categories look like? How much does assessments count for? How much does homework count for? Because that really could affect their grade. So we're having those more in-depth conversations, and obviously, the sooner that we know, the faster that we're able to assist with the communication and follow-up.
Yeah, and if it is truly, another 26 assignments and it's gonna help you, and it doesn't, then yeah, we have a problem. So, anyway.
No.
I
I mean,
Okay.
just wanted to quickly mention that I know that sometimes the emails get stuck behind other things. I was in a teacher's classroom at one point, and she hadn't seen something that we had all been talking about, or an invitation had been sent out. And so we need to somehow make sure that not only the teachers are looking specifically out of place to make sure that, you know, if there is something from a parent, that they're reading it, but that you also know that it's been read. Because, you know, otherwise, how do we make an assessment that they're following through or not? I know parent engagement is supposed to be, is a very important matter, but if the parents are trying to engage and there's no return on that, then that's where we're gonna run into some problems. I'm not saying all teachers, or I wouldn't ever say all teachers, but we need to make sure, first of all, that they're receiving the message, and second, that they are replying. You know, sometimes the parents don't like the reply, but as long as we're replying, right? We're trying to follow through. So, I thank you for all this information. I know that everybody probably has more questions, but maybe we can narrow them down and get that to you, okay?
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you very
Thank
much,
you.
though.
Thank you, Dr. Monroy. You had your
Yes,
first
go ahead.
promotion
Keep up the
too.
after-school program.
Thank you.
I just want to
Working.
advocate
It's like
for
keep
the
up the
Deep
after-school
Creek,
program, it's working.
Crease.
Yeah.
Was he gonna do
I
Deep
can
Creek?
see it.
Yeah, I just want
working.
to say, both of you came out of two areas of concern that this board has been working on for the last couple of years. Differentiated assistance, you exited out. A lot of the things that were talked about today echo to some of the things that you've been working and your team has been working at Farmers Junior High School to exit out. WASC, coming back on track. A lot of the issues and concerns that have been echoed this evening can tie right into a lot of the things that Farmersville High School and the team there has been addressing and actually got us back on track. Are we still not hitting the mark? Absolutely, we recognize that. But I believe both of you, and Mr. Villarreal is not here, and I agree with him, and the rest of our administrators, but specifically our secondary, we're addressing these issues. Because the data is telling us that we are. And I will agree from the parent perspective, can we do better? We can always do better.
Absolutely.
Okay, and we're gonna take that to heart, because we're required to do that, number one, but two, because we need to do it, right? It's what's best for students, so, thank you both. Let's hear Deep Creek Academy.
All right. So we're gonna share about Deep Creek. Obviously, Mr. Villarreal couldn't be with us. He's at a training down south. So some of the things that he talked about when students join him there at DCA. Upon entry at DCA, all students receive a personalized educational plan that is specific to their individual needs. That plan is a guide, a roadmap to satisfy the high school requirements and graduation. There's daily, weekly, and monthly student data is captured to gauge progress or lack of, and is shared with students and parents. Intervention week occurs 10 times per year. Letters are mailed to parents, including student academic standing. So communication is constant. After school remediation with teacher and counselor to make up work. Attendance review meetings occur monthly, communicated with students and parents alike again. Additional resources that DCA has to offer for the students. They have outside referrals to local providers, job fairs, college tours, military presentations, educational field trips. There's a FAFSA workshops for every senior, CEOS registration for all graduates, resume building workshops and mock interviews, student incentives and awards for attendance and participation, aftercare opportunities and options for students after graduation, and the FAST as a safety net for all students or those students who run out of time in the traditional school setting. So these are some of his interventions to get kids as they transition over, and most of them go from the high school, as we know, over there to either make up credits and or there's alternative education for them. That's what he puts in place. All right. Any questions for him? We could write them down.
Very good, thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you. Thank you very much.
I just want to make sure I let you know, we're not minimizing all the hard work you're doing.
No.
We really appreciate, and we know that it's a shift that we're working on right now. I mean, there's been a major shift, and we saw that at graduation. So, thank you. We just, little tweaks here and there, but thank you very much.
Questions for at least I speak for myself, is something to focus on when we start the new year. These are some of the top items that we need to address as a school item.
One thing I would like, there was several mentions of students taking classes, graduating. I would like a list that we can post on Facebook. Our story isn't being told. I want something that we can post saying how many students are going to college, how many went to, completed so many classes at college already. All that information that you put out there, I would like to have that so we can put it on Facebook, because nobody else is telling our story.
And for the first time ever, 2 students at Farmersville Junior High School
Graduate.
earning units at College of the Sequoias.
That's a big deal.
That's huge. So you're right.
Getting degrees.
We need to do a better job telling our story. We were at a summer institute today, and that was the main piece, right?
Yeah.
Flipping it. Not
Okay.
90-10, but 10-90, or vice versa.
I
Just
could say
flipping the
something-
script.
I'm sorry, to Mr. Mendez, and he could put that on Facebook, because I don't go to that Facebook page.
Well, if he, shares it with us, and then we can share it, because if you just put it on one one site, it just stays there, just the limited
I
people.
like to put it on the front page of the Sun Gazette.
Well,
What
I
like
wish
to
they
do.
would've, they would've done
Send
something,
me
but
the info.
we
So-
were left off.
so-
So we're gonna tell our own story.
I wanted to add to that. So one of them graduated with 2 associates,
Yes.
one
Yes.
individual.
Yeah.
So like, for me, I wanted to like study her roadmap. What did her roadmap look like through Farmersville High School?
As a freshman.
And then
Or even
what
eighth
is,
grade.
what classes did she take at COS that guaranteed her those 2 associates? So what I want to try to do is create a roadmap to show people, look, this individual got 2. It might not be in what you want, but these are the classes she took, and this is what you could accomplish here. And so, and then also the other individual who has 1, and then the reason why is because for me, if someone said, Freddie, just do this, and do that, and you're guaranteed this. For me, I'm a person that if you tell me I'm gonna get something, I'm most likely gonna go for it. But if you tell me figure it out and you'll get it, I won't do it because it's hard for me to figure out things. Sometimes I have to YouTube it, I have to see someone put it together, I have to be like, oh, it's actually easier than I thought. And so to see someone graduate with the 2 associates, I wanna present that to high school kids and say, look, this is what this individual did, this is how she did it, and this was her GPA, and you know, I don't really know if it was like a 4-point, like all the way through, or was just a 3-point, or was it just average? You know, I don't want to belittle what she did because it's great what she did, but I want to show students that you don't have to be this. I don't want to put it in this words, but the smartest person on the block. You could still be the average person doing great things. You know, and I just want to show them that.
You could be the Farmersville person.
Yeah, the Farmersville person, right? Because that's just.
And that's why I want it from both, I would like it from both the junior high, because we also had at junior high somebody taking college courses. So we need to put it out there more. That will inspire not only the parents, but the students that are, you know, here in Farmersville.
It starts,
Thank you.
Starts there at 7th grade. You get them going there and they go to college, 8th grade summer school. They got it going on, so.
Let's go.
Appreciate you guys.
Okay, thank you very much. 8.0, public comments. Members, I'm sorry?
Go ahead, apologize.
Oh, okay. Members of the public may address the board on any agenda item or other item of interest within the subject matter jurisdiction of the board before or during the governing board's consideration of the item. The board is not able to discuss or take action on any item not appearing on the agenda. Pursuant to board policy, the board may limit individual comments to no more than 3 minutes and individual topics to 20 minutes. Please begin your comments by stating your name.
School board, we do have Emiliano Moran, but Mr. Moran, before you begin, the board asks that during public comment, everyone be respectful of the speakers. Members of the public should not interrupt or interject while another person is giving their public comment. During public comments, there shall be no use of foul language. Should a member of the public have a concern about the specific employee, we ask that you direct those concerns to myself after this meeting so that the concerns can be handled through the proper procedures. Please do not use employee or student names during the public comments. We do have the amazing Emiliano Moran, counselor, going to give us a report, the counselor's report.
Counselor's report, that is correct. Before I begin, for some of you, well, good evening, first of all. For some of you that know me, I really dislike public speaking. I really hate the attention. However, the flyers that you guys got deserve attention, positive attention. So what was given to you guys is kind of our end of the year counselor's report. And I want to give a huge shout out and thanks to Mr. Sanchez, Ms. Waymeyer out in YouTube land, and my gang, Ms. Rosales, who's my partner in everything that we do. So if you look in the flyer that we created, just like Ms. Lopez said, the story needs to be told. Our story needs to be told. The amazing things that we're doing at the junior high. I can be here all night to tell you what we have done, but I'm gonna stick to this and I'm gonna highlight the Farmersville Junior High highlights. And so what to me, all of it stands out. But the part that stands out the most to me is the categories of the FFA members. Our 2.0 GPA, 84%. Our CHSF members, 15. 95% of our students participate in promotion. 96% of our students are 95 and above in attendance, are avid students. Community service hours, 75 plus hours, and that's a total of 12 students. 12 students that right now, this school year, were very, very eager to participate in community service. College of the Sequoias, correctly, we've got 2 students, and that's history. We made history. Scholarship awarded was 13 student athlete, 100 plus students, and 50 club participants. Also, if you guys look in the classroom lessons, we went into the classroom approximately 55 times this school year giving these individual lessons. So, and just to let you guys know, at the junior high, we're very active, we're progressive, we don't sit on things. I'll give you an example. We were going to UC Merced, it's myself and Ms. Rosales, and we were talking, we just happened to overhear a conversation, UC Merced talking about their math academy, that it wasn't happening this year. For whatever reason, it wasn't happening. And we look at each other as like, why not? It's like, oh, we don't have the time, we don't have the space, and we're like, well, summer school is happening at the junior high. Why not? And we all look at each other, yeah, why not? And what we like to call, we're gonna do a Hail Mary. We're gonna try to see if we can do this. And we're notorious for Hail Marys. We pulled off many Hail Marys. Right now, currently, the Math Academy has 20 students. 20 students right now, and this was just in 2 weeks. We're preparing, calling in those kids and everything. Hey, calling parents, hey, you want your student to accelerate? Come on over. And we hit the goal, 20 students. I'll give you guys another example where we don't sit on things. LPAC scores came out in early May. The EL team is awesome. Myself and Ms. Rosales sat down and talked about, hey, why don't we start reclassifying those kids now? Why sit on those scores? And the reasons why we do this, we want to give accurate information to the high school. So you guys don't have so many sections of ELD classes at the high school. So high school, you guys have accurate information. We reclassified all those kiddos. And that's where we're progressive, we're forward. We will not sit on stuff like this. And I want to celebrate myself. Ms. Rosales right there, my second half right there, she's awesome. So our story needs to be told, and here's our story. Thank you.
Well, I can vouch for Mr. Moran that he does not like to speak publicly, but I'll tell you what, for someone that doesn't like to speak, you did a darn well job, sir. And thank you for representing Farmersville Junior High School. So good evening. You know, as we wrap up, we have two school board meetings left, right? And so as we wrap up another successful year, I want to take a moment to say thank you to our team members that are here this evening, our amazing staff members, our teachers, our principals, our school board, everybody that's involved to guaranteeing that our students get the very best. Thank you for your dedication, for providing high quality instruction and meaningful learning experiences for not just our students, but our families. But I really want to put a mirror to some of the great things that have been happening. We talk about telling that story. And why are we waiting for the culminating events when we hear about these kids going to colleges, to the Marines, and all the different amazing things that they're getting ready to embark on? You know, this year we put a strong focus on parent, student, staff engagement events across the district. The events created spaces to have real conversations. I mean, talk about the whole child, the academic, the behavior, the social emotional, the mental health. I mean, all of the social development. And, you know, our continued focus to meeting students where they needed us most. That's been our goal. And that idea of creating the best possible conditions for learning inside of the classroom, that tier 1. You know, to support the vision, we leaned on professional learning communities, or the professional learning community, excuse me, because it is. The district is the professional learning community. And we talked about it being tight and not light. You know, that was a prime example through our PLTs at each site, where teams worked collaboratively to ensure that every student benefited from the most up-to-date data and focused instructional approach. Other key focus areas that we had was minimizing the reading and literacy gap, especially in our K-3 schools. We recognize with our data that students getting to the middle elementary right before junior high, that the data was telling us that we were losing our students there. So our idea of focusing on that K-3 was super important. And so setting that foundation for lifelong learning and helping us ensure that every student can read, can write, can communicate with confidence, so that when we look at the promotions, when we look at the graduations, you know, we can see more of our students that are getting their AA degrees, their colleges, all of the things that they want to get done from a bigger viewpoint and perspective. So together we're setting the foundation for a stronger, more connected, and more empowered Farmersville. I do want to say thank you. There aren't many people here this evening, but I know that our teachers are appreciated. I know all staff members are appreciated. Our administrators, we want to say thank you. We want to say thank you to everybody, our counselors, any and everybody that has the ability to touch our students and our parents, okay, and engage them in this thing that we're calling Farmersville Strong and Farmersville Up. So the best is yet to come. Thank you very much. I know most of you will not be here. You'll be off grid. So this was our last opportunity to say thank you to everybody that's present. So thank you again.
Thank you, Superintendent Mendez. 8.2, public hearing, 2025-2026 local control accountability plan. We're opening the public hearing at 8 o'clock. Is there anyone out there that would like to address the local control accountability plan? Being that there is no one and it is 8:01, I will close it at 8:01. 10.0 K-8 issues. 10.1 approval to declare Snowden obsolete textbooks. Bless you.
Motion. Second.
Motion by John Alvarez, second by Merced Zamora. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Are there any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried 5-all. 10.2, approval to attend MTSS conference on July 21st through 24th, 2025 at Anaheim, California.
Motion?
Second.
We have a motion by Freddie Espinoza, second by Sabrina Gomez. Is that correct?
Correct.
Are there any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried 5-all. 10.3, approval of donation from Litos Tacos to Snowden ASB account.
Motion?
Second.
We have a motion by Freddie Espinoza, second by Merced Zamora. Is that correct?
Correct.
Are there any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried 5-all. 11.0, high school issues. 11.1, approval of 2025-2026 designation of CIF representative to league.
Motion?
Second.
We have a motion by Freddie Espinoza, second by Merced Zamora. Is that correct?
Correct.
Are there any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried 5-all. 11.2, approval of Key Club end-of-year field trip to Pismo Beach on June 12th, 2025.
Motion.
Second?
We have a motion by Merced Zamora, second by Freddie Espinoza. Is that correct?
Correct.
Are there any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried 5-all. 12.0, curriculum. Hold on just a minute, I gotta pop, your drops. 12.1, approval of mental health average daily attendance, MHADA, grant award notification.
Motion.
Second?
Motion by John Alvarez, second by Freddie Espinoza.
Correct?
That's correct, okay. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried 5-all. 12.2, approval of DBM consulting agreement.
Second.
We have a motion by John Alvarez, second by Merced Zamora. Is that correct?
Yes.
Correct.
That's correct, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried 5-all. 12.3, approval of Cullion Education Center SPED teacher training on September 15th through 16th, 17th, 18th, 2025, or November 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 2025 at Fresno, California.
Motion.
Second?
We have a motion by Merced Zamora, second by Freddie Espinoza. Is that correct?
Correct.
Are there any questions?
Nope.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried 5-all. 12.4, presentation of the 2026 Local Control Accountability Plan, information only. This is a presentation.
Good evening, Board of Trustees, Superintendent Mendez. I know we're getting our information up on screen here in a bit. While that comes up, I do want to give just a little bit of background so everybody's on the same page as to what we're going to cover tonight. In your board packet, you have a very svelte 129-page LCAP plan. I will not be going page by page through that plan, but I will try to go in as much depth as possible, but making the presentation efficient for everybody to follow. I like to answer questions as I go, so feel free at any point to interject, but there will be questions that you may ask there at the end as well. Perfect. Okay, so our district did go through a year-long process to go through the needs assessment. And the needs assessment covers a lot of different information. Much of that data is in that plan. You can see it. And it's part of a 3-year plan to determine what it is and we're offering students above and beyond as part of a core program. So the year-long process was to review the needs, but also get input from our educational partners. And that included parents, students, staff, community members. It wasn't a one-shot deal. It was through various formats. We had an LCAP committee. We also had an open forums. We also had surveys. And just leaning in, having conversations with people. What did the data tell us about what our students' needs are? Okay, so you'll see in the plan that I'm going to cover, it is a 3-year plan, so some of the actions remain. I'll update you if there were any significant changes to that plan, but there are also some new actions based off of those needs that we see at specific school sites and across the district that I'll highlight. The LCAP also, I feel the need to share with you that the LCAP has kind of become a catch-all. I tend to not use that word, but there are 3 parts of the plan here that stand out. The first parts of the plan, goals 1 through 3, are related to the LCFF, the Local Control Funding Formula dollars. That, in the traditional sense, is the LCAP. But now there are other requirements. If our schools receive equity multiplier funds like DCA does, and they did last year, now we need to incorporate that into the plan. It's not part of the LCFF, but because the process of the LCAP is to communicate with our community what those things are that schools and the district are doing, it's been embedded now within the plan. I'm not going to cover goal 4 because think of it as a site plan that just happens to be embedded in the overall LCAP. I will highlight goal 5, which is a new requirement, and that's for the Learning Recovery Emergency Block Grant. So those are dollars, think of those as stimulus dollars, came because of the effects of COVID, and there are some very specific requirements that we'll need to meet, and I'll get to those in a bit, but my presentation today will be about goals 1 through 3 and goal 5. So let's start with goal 1. Just to highlight, this is more of an academic goal, so student achievement for all students in the core content areas and for all grade levels. So the actions here, I'm sharing them in this format just to highlight what those actions are if they've been in place before, some of the budget expenditures that we had in the 24-25 school year, which is column 2. You won't find this presentation in your packet. It's just up on screen for presentation's sake. But the details are in your plan. Column 3 is the 25-26 budgeted expenditure. So you can see in some cases, in the notes, it might show what is going towards that action. Like in action 1.1, classroom instructional aids, the LCAP is supporting 20 instructional aids. Okay? So that's not all of the aids that we have in our district, but it is supporting 20 instructional aids. And that's an increase of about 120,000 from the previous year. Okay? So that's how I want us to read that, is what is the difference from one year to the next and what's included in that action. So we can see a lot of the things have remained the same. We're paying for instructional aids. We're also supporting our smaller class sizes. So the class sizes could be at 30. We're saying no, we want them smaller, especially at the lower elementary, 20-41, 25-26 students at the middle elementary, and so forth, very similarly at the junior high and high school levels. So having our class sizes smaller requires us hiring more teachers and keeping more teachers in order to keep those class sizes down. Elementary music teachers, we are braiding that funding. And what that means is we're using more than one funding source in order to support the positions. So in this case, we have 5 music/art teachers that are braided with funding through LCAP and Prop 28 funding. So the Prop 28 funding is that ongoing funding for the expansion of arts, music, and theater programs. We also have a CTE counselor position at the high school that's supported in the LCAP, that's 1.4, and then 1.5 is for 3 CTE teachers. So we want to keep those CTE programs alive and thriving, and so that ongoing investment in there. You see some of the figures have changed from one to the next. If I haven't identified any changes, sometimes it depends on a different person occupying that role, which may lead to a shift in how much funding was used for a given year, and or step and column taking effect, and so there could be an increased cost, but not a change in action. Going further into goal 1, we have CTE expansion. See a drop from 600,000 to 345,000, but that's only because the projects within that action have changed. This coming year, we're going to be working on welding booths and ventilation systems for the welding, as well as shade structures and a concrete slab for ag, welding, and carpentry. So it's that investment in CTE. Summer school, there's no projected change, same budget of 200,000 going into the 2026 summer. 21st century technology, the cost on that is going to be lower. So our budget for instructional technology as well as infrastructure is going down, also because not all of our kids take the devices home, which means fewer replacements and the damages that are being incurred than before. But we are trying to, across the plan, be as efficient with the monies and being very streamlined in how much monies are going through there. And you'll see why. I'll highlight why here at the end of this goal. When we have technology for students, for teachers, it does require computer technicians to support. So that's actions 1.9. We have 4 technicians there. And in 1.10, this is more, when we talk about professional learning communities, one of those requirements there is that we use data to make informed decisions about what happens next, how we respond to student needs. So our assessment coordinator is integral in making sure we have good data to make decisions, both at a district level and school site levels. In 1.11, our data coordinator is also for accountability. So there are a lot of systems that are used, and we need to make sure that we're properly identifying who our students are for English learners, who they are for newcomers, who they are for low-income students, and so forth. So our data coordinator helps support receiving that data. And so again, so we can respond to that data properly. Our Save the Children program, that's an investment in students who are pre-K So in ages 0 through 5, there's no changes to the program, just a little bit more in expected expenditures. Partly is due to inflated costs across the program. And we see the same with 1.13 and 1.14. These are essentially educational programs, educational field trips. One is the Science Conservatory. Its name is SciCon. And so our 5th and 6th grade students participate in that. Whereas educational field trips, those are trips connected at the school site level that are extensions of what students are learning in the classroom. So the opportunities are there. We just realize that bus transportation costs are really high right now, and they're not going to go down, so we needed to put more into the budget for those two things. Where I want to highlight a change, this is in addition to this next year, and Mr. Mendez highlighted that a moment ago, with the emphasis in reading, literacy. So our students reading, especially at the lower grade levels, K through 3, we know that we have a reading specialist that's already been hired through a separate grant at Snowden, and that's going to do wonders with our intervention program. We know that our issues with literacy are not a tier 3 issue, an intervention piece that takes place outside of the high school. It's something more complex. It's really first instruction, differentiated instruction within that classroom, and for students who are lacking the foundational skills, the intervention that goes beyond that. So we're tackling this on various fronts, but in order to make sure that we address students with those foundational skills that are lacking, this action would be to hire reading specialists specifically for Hester, as well as Freedom Elementaries, so that each elementary school has a reading specialist to work with students, but also to support staff in building capacity for teaching reading. And that would also be one reading intervention aide to work alongside the reading specialist at each of those schools. So this was definitely driven by the data across multiple educational partner groups. The emphasis on reading, supporting reading, and make sure their kids could read by grade level at 3rd grade. Goal 2, this is to provide comprehensive academic and social emotional support systems. Ensure students are provided with equitable opportunities to reach their full potential. You'll see a lot of actions here that go beyond the academic, starting with school counselors. They are academic counselors, but they're also supporting students at a behavioral level as well. And so our 8 school counselors for this coming year would be 1 at every school site, as well as the 3 at the high school. So that would be a total of 8. You'll see later on there's 1 more behavior counselor that is embedded in Goal 5 that I'll highlight at that point. But this is to ensure that we have comparable services across all schools. Our nurses, LVNs, and health aides, there's no change to that. So we still have support at every school site. Classroom behavior aides, that's for 9, and so costs there increase just naturally. Campus supervisors, making sure students are safe on campus, have proper supervision at all times. And then you'll see there was a definite decrease in the speech and language pathologists. So the reality here is that there is a lack of speech and language pathologists everywhere in California, and probably across the nation if I were to look that deep. So there's several reasons for that. Our effect is that we need to contract with an online service so students get that service through the screen. Okay? With that is that we're paying for those services, that time that they're working with students versus positions, which is why we see the decreased cost. If and when we get the opportunities to hire a person, a speech and language pathologist, that's always better than the on-screen version, so we will continue to do that. But right now, with the lack of availability of pathologists, we need to make sure that students still receive those services as embedded in their IEPs. We also will be continuing our work with ELD support. We have some coaching cycles lined up at each of our schools this coming year, and that's for instructional English language development. Our teachers have done a fine job identifying standards, specifically guaranteed and viable standards that will be taught. We need to make sure, though, that we are identifying what are those instructional strategies and what is the role of the student to produce language. And when I say produce, is that are they speaking? Are they writing? How are they collaborating with others? So it does require them to also receive information through listening and reading. So there's a variety of ways to incorporate our ELD strategies. Our EL coordinator This is, again, an example of braided funding, so that we are using federal funding in Title III as well as the LCAP. And this is not a shift in the action, but a shift of the funding from a 90 to 10 split, where now the LCAP will pick up 30% of this position because the program specialist also supports not just ELD, but AVID and the dual language program. Our guidance secretary is still supported by this, by the LCAP, as well as one of our 2 school resource officers. So those actions have not changed either. We heard mention of this earlier in one of our presentations about the MTSS student interventions tutoring. And this is to make sure that our school sites have an avenue to fund those tutoring support at the school sites. There is Title I funding that is available to each school site that they can use for that action to make sure that the tutoring takes place. And this action has been there since the last couple of years, if I remember correctly. But now it's going to include not just tutoring, but professional development in order to support our behavior systems and the implementation of behavior systems at each of our schools, as well as provide student incentives to make sure that we are reinforcing some of those positive behaviors. Unfortunately, with federal funding, that is not allowed. And so we need to look at what state sources of funding that we have available, and the LCAP is one that will allow us to do that. It's not a huge budget for it, but it's enough to have the carrot as we're training our students, as we're supporting our students, to keep them motivated to keep doing that until they learn those skills and have that ingrained. We are still supporting our MTSS coordinator position here, as well as our attendance clerks, and that's again another example of braiding funding through the LCAP and the Learning Recovery Emergency Block Grant. So that's in order to make those positions full 8-hour positions. And then we have the media technology specialists. So these are also called our librarians. So each of our schools, except for DCA, have a media technology specialist. I'm also going to highlight Action 2.15. This is a new one. We had some carryover funds. It means that if actions were not implemented, or if they were implemented at a cost that was lower than expected, those LCAP dollars don't get taken into anything else. You can't use it as part of a general fund. You can't sweep it for anything else. It remains to be used as part of the LCAP for the following year. So if it's not used, it becomes carryover. Think of it as a one-time funding, because you still have your base fund in addition to the carryover. So we have some carryover. One of those reasons is we didn't have the FRC, which you'll see here in a bit. But because we didn't have that, we also have other needs. School safety was one of them that kept coming up. Okay? And one of those is, and this is a 3-pronged approach, all under the umbrella of school safety. One is the purchase of security cameras. Our security cameras are lacking, to put it mildly. Okay? They don't cover very well. They're not very detailed. If they are meant to help us identify some of the issues on campus, peer-to-peer, or when the school program is not in session, with things that take place after the fact, making sure our facilities are safe, or if we're responding to an emergency, as we would want to do in a very efficient and safe manner. If there was, say, someone on campus meaning to do harm to people on school grounds, we would want to utilize those to remove the threat, identify and eliminate the threat. Okay? We can't use our cameras right now, I'm going to put it bluntly, in that fashion. Okay? This connects to the second part of the plan. ActiveNet is a system that's used by the majority of our districts in our county now. We are, I think, one of 3 that are not currently using it. Whether it's this system or not, it allows us to respond using the collaboration with a local police department to respond to those emergency and safety needs on our campuses. But it requires eyes. It requires us to be able to communicate across departments and have that strong communication and information that's coming in. So those 2 really go hand in hand. But the majority of the cost here is actually for the security cameras. So it's a one-time cost that's at that level. If we were to continue this action, it would only be for ActiveNet, which is at a far reduced rate, and I believe it's closer to, just to give you a sense here, it's $14,400 annually. So this one-time cost really is just to get everything up and running. The third prong of that three-prong approach is classroom radios, especially at the elementary sites. Our students are not always in the physical classroom, so if there is an emergency or we're responding to student outbursts or anything like that that needs an emergency response, if there is not a radio or something like that, then if students are out on the field, they're out somewhere else on campus, it's very hard to respond to those needs and those emergencies in a timely and efficient manner.
Really quick, before
Please.
we go to the next goal, is it okay to get a quick break?
I'll try to take a quick break after this.
Oh, I have to use it, actually.
Well, so do I. But, does everybody wanna take a real quick?
Bladder
Unless I
control's
could just go.
important, we should take a break.
I don't know if I have
We
to
should
sit
take
here
a
the whole
break.
time.
Okay, let's take.
We should take a break.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but yes,
Yeah, I'm sorry.
we need to take a break.
It's just
We're a little bit long.
nature's
get it.
calling.
We're gonna take a quick break.
Let's go. We're taking a quick break.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, 5 to 10, come on. You better do it now, everybody.
Chris? Sorry, De Leon.
Break, I just wanna make sure that I correct. For the presentation, it's 2025-2026 Local Control Accountability Plan. Thank you. Go ahead, proceed.
So I'll pause and there's a question.
My question is the ACTIVNet. You've already got it in the LCAP. We had discussed that as a board, but not approved that. So you're just saying it's gonna be automatically done, or what are you saying?
No, the LCAP is subject to board approval on June 24th. So the board can, at this moment, it's being presented to the board, and so any feedback we can still make adjustments to this plan.
Okay.
So if it's the board's will to not move forward with something that's in the LCAP, we could do it line items, say we need to adjust this, remove that, add this, and so forth. So it's not a done deal.
Yeah, so my initial concern was, I know we needed cameras and everything had to be up to par before we could even go to the active.
Correct.
And then we're building the new, the preschool, with, 9 classrooms there, that need to be cameras as well. Anyway, so hopefully we can get that all finished before we go to active nets. Anyway,
Yeah.
all right, appreciate it.
Real quick, Mr. Ochoa, Mr. Melendez, can you talk about some of the things we looked into pricing wise, and again with Mr. De Leon as well? We talked about the extra 55 cameras that we were gonna need to purchase in order for us to be.
Yes, fine. So at the youth side, the TK, we have
I don't think you're gonna be able to be heard.
about 12, probably have about 12 extra cameras there. So I met up with contractors and we're doing a walkthrough for the high school and that youth side to assess the needs for possibly active.
And do we have a total cost?
Now, yeah, we're still getting.
Okay, all right.
And then
Well,
just,
we'll have to come back anyway, so.
I thought that the ActiveNet actually went through and did the assessment to show us how many cameras were actually needed and what positions that they needed to be in. So this is our assessment, right?
That's the idea of what we've allotted for cameras if we were to pursue, whether it's ActiveNet or someone else. When we were, early on when we were creating and we had the information for LCAP, the big piece was safety. Cameras and being connected in case there was an intruder. And so the reason ActiveNet is there is because it's one of the viable options that is a connection with Tulare County Office of Education.
Yeah, but they didn't come out and evaluate us,
No.
no, because they don't have a contract there.
Correct.
Okay.
Can we get the evaluation without the contract?
I don't know, I can look into that.
We have to have the cameras in place. And we're doing that on our own, right?
Yes,
Is
we're
that what
working
that
from site
is?
to site with principals.
Right.
Where the needs are at, assessing where our blind spots, and then kind of moving forward there.
Yeah, then once we have everything in place, then a program would be great.
Yes.
Okay, all right, thank you.
and then to add to the system, like any future projects we have coming in, are we prepping those for like, say like the bus depot for a camera ready and like just taking those additional things we're building into
Yeah,
account?
you're talking about infrastructure, planning for
Mhm.
infrastructure, yes.
Okay, perfect.
Cool.
All right. Goal 3 is to increase the level of engagement. So we've talked about this just a little while ago. And so this is great timing because I want to make the distinction between engagement and participation. So engagement, we're talking about active and ongoing involvement, which requires two-way communication. It requires school involvement, so that our parents participating in things like meetings, giving input, discussing, sharing ideas, participating in shared decision-making, and collaborating, working together with school staff. So when we say engagement, that's what we're talking about. It runs parallel with participation, means parents are coming out, part of an audience, right? We're at a school function, maybe lunch on the lawn, going to a basketball game, those types of things. We want to see a big turnout. When we talk about involvements, we want partners. Okay? So part of that, and what we're investing in, is parent education classes. So this is through PK, but also with other workshops. We want to know what parents need to know in order to help to build a capacity and background knowledge enough to then help make those decisions with staff. It's hard to make decisions when you don't know the entire system, or if you lack some information that would require you in order to make some decisions. So that's why 3.1 and 3.3 work so well hand in hand. We're building capacity in one sense, and 3.3 now is giving the platform to engage and provide some input and make those shared decision making. So in both of them, excuse me, there are some investments with continuing our Spanish translators as well as parent incentives. So we've seen that over the course of the year, participation wanes, and we want to make sure that our parents continue participating, continue coming in, and that any barriers, whether it's translation, if it's meetings taking place during dinner, those types of things, don't prevent them from coming. So if we eliminate those barriers, take care of them, and make it a very inviting and accommodating atmosphere, then we should see more parents involved. And 3.2 is for community liaisons. So this action actually is going to be moved into the community schools grant. So it is an investment of 216, but it will not be coming out of the LCAP. It'll be through the community schools grant. I've shared a few actions in here where I said braided funding, community schools grant, even naming other sources of funding. I want to make sure that our board understands that we are trying to maximize every funding source as much as possible. So if that means moving things around so that we're able to operate and maximize the use of those funds for as long as we have them, we're doing that, okay? We're trying to go as lean as possible, so those dollars that we know that we're not just throwing a number out there and saying we hope it falls under this amount. There was good research to say we expect these salaries and benefits to be X amount, because anything in excess then, we want to make sure that are going towards actions that our students need. Okay? So we're being lean as efficient as possible to maximize those dollars with additional actions as needed, like the reading specialists are a good example of that. You'll see here in 3.4, Family Resource Center, this is a discontinued action. It didn't happen this past year nor the year before. It still needs to remain in the LCAP because it is a 3-year plan, but there are no dollars associated with it. It is not moving forward. I'll pause for any additional questions about goals 1 through 3. Okay.
So the resource center is just basically somebody made a decision to drop it?
It had not been moving forward because the project itself was going to cost over $1 million. So unless we're earmarking some additional funds from the LCAP and or other funding sources like general fund, then that would be a decision that this body would make. But in the meantime,
resource center is where? What are you talking about?
so the idea, I think a couple of years ago, that preceded me being here, is that we would have a centralized hub that would it would coordinate services for parents and for families out in the community. So one-stop shop, so to speak. And so our families would be able to go there and get the information support they need. This would require a building. This require either purchasing a new building, constructing a new building, or updating an existing one. So when I say the cost of that, it'd be the cost of purchasing a brand new building that we could work out of immediately, or updating one.
Yeah. Well, the question is, we have a building that was given to us by the city.
For $1.
Yeah, renovations.
Correct.
Of $400. So it's not building a new one, it's utilizing what we have.
Correct.
Again, I get it, you have it on there and you're taking it off, but this also has to be approved by the board as well, correct?
For a discontinued action?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, you just
Yes.
discontinued it and you're telling us, okay, just
Yeah.
discontinue.
Well, everything in the
Because it
plan
costs
is a
$1 million.
recommendation.
Yeah,
Yeah, everything in the plan is a recommendation subject to board approval.
right, okay. All right.
So like to add to it, cause like it says, I was just looking at the caregiver quotes
Mhm.
and then everybody's quotes. It says have fun things occur at school to motivate them, and then have more fun events for parents and students to attend. Do these during the day or evening. And so I just kind of wanted to know, what are we doing as in like more events with parents, like as in fun activities? Cause I know like we do a lot of activities with the kids, but I feel like sometimes a festival with the parents is where maybe they'll get to see the teachers, and also the teachers being present at these events versus after school, cause I know they're off the clock and that's their time. But is there anything we're creating during school hours? I know we have lunch on the lawn, but also giving parents a chance to meet the teachers more on a personal level versus just, you know, parent-teacher conference, or, you know, just kind of engaging. Are we I know Sanchez does a lot of great events, so maybe he'll have some great ideas for this. But just, I guess that's what I kind of want to start creating for each school, just something where parents and students and teachers are all engaging in a fun event where, you know, if they did have questions, they could easily approach and ask really quick, and you know, it just brings the community a little bit more knit tight for something fun and motivating to go to. And just, I guess my question would be, are we delegating funds to maybe to the schools, or just somehow, so that way they have funds just specifically for those events, or is it in there? Or?
Yes, so the proposal here, and I'll go back to this slide, for the classes and for supporting, for parent meetings, you see in 3.1, 3.3, and I'll go back to, let's see, the student incentives in 2.11. We also have Title I funding, and I think there was one more in, no, that was it. There are some events that we already do. One of the things that came out loud and clear from the input from the educational partners was to stack events. So for example, if we have a literacy night and we paired it with a choir performance from our students, people come out to see their kids perform all the time, right? When we have these types of events that we know people are gonna come out for, we pair it up with some things that we want also their input on, or we want to see them for like an educational class. A resource fair, for example, can also be paired with a presentation with the guitars like we had at our previous meeting. So these types of things is, what can we do that we're doing but in isolation, but pair them up so that we get more bang? When we have more people, we have more interactions. That's when those meetings take place. That's when those informal conversations take place that we may not have sufficient time during the day to do it because it's instructional time, right? Or we're trying to fit it during a lunchtime or a break time before school or after school. When we do that, when we're more strategic about those interactions, then we should see more parents involved, coming out, more staff engaging, staying on.
I'm not sure if it's you or who would, I'm gonna answer this question, but I know that one of the issues that we had with WASP was that there was a lack of parent engagement. But since they came in and now, you know, we're in the right track, what have we been doing different than we weren't doing in the past to make sure that we stay on top of parent engagement? I know that one of the things you said, you know, do like classes, but I mean, what do we plan to teach if we do classes? Like, what are we gonna teach parents?
So a couple of things is, when I say learning the school systems, some of that is, for example, students on an IEP, building the capacity of our families to know what that means. What is involved in an IEP? What are the students' rights? What are the parents' rights, and so on? Making sure that they are fully aware of what is available. Students who need a student study team to convene. What is part of the SST? What is that process? What does it look like? If it's our students who are English learners and our parents don't know, what is the reclassification process? What is it that we can do to partner up to give students those opportunities? So it's building capacity in those parts of the school system that they may not be fully aware of. And I think a lot of us in schools kind of take for granted, like we know a lot of these acronyms, we know a lot of these ideas, and we sometimes assume that others know them just as well as we do. And that's not the case. So we need to build people's understanding and background knowledge in them so that we can engage on equal footing to say, when we talk about this, this is what we mean, and now we can have a fair exchange.
Talked about digital literacy. I think a few of our board members talked about how maybe teachers aren't necessarily responding to parents, where it could be parents in the Aries portal. It could be so many different things.
Yeah.
To support our.
It could be tutorials on our standards, right? And how parents can support some of these standards from home, including some of the basic literacy pieces. So just a variety of things. So nothing new as an add-on, but something to reinforce what we're doing here and make stronger partnerships.
Okay, we need to move on. We're over an hour behind,
Okay.
so.
All right, so I'm gonna wrap up here with our goal 5. And when I say the Learning Recovery Emergency Block Grant, I'm putting here the purpose of the LREBG funds to support our districts in addressing the academic and emotional impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic on students and staff. So this is a funding source that we still have for the next 3 years. We have approximately $3 million left in this fund that expires, or it has to be spent by the end of the 2027-28 school year. So that gives us 3 years. part of the requirements of the LCAP is that we need to state, for transparency purposes, what we're planning to use those funds for during that course of the 3 years. So the things that we can support through this funding are academic learning recovery, which is addressing learning gaps and promoting student academic success, and as well as the social and emotional well-being, so supporting mental and emotional health of students and staff. There are 4 actions that are going to be, that are proposed here for the LREBG, and that's on top of the 22, I believe, instructional assistants in the LCAP, Goal 1, it's for the 15 additional instructional assistants in Action 5.1. 1 psychologist, which is bringing us up to 3 psychologists in 5.2. The extension of the time for attendance clerks to make them 8-hour employees, and then 1 behavior counselor at the junior high. So these actions total approximately $1 million, and so these would be the actions for the next 3 years that would help us with the intents of the LREBG purposes that fall in line with the purposes of the grant. I'll skip that piece. Any additional or final questions?
I just would like the total LCAP funding, and how much of that has been directly converted to employment employees versus the total amount of the LCAP. I would like to know what that is.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Just positions and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
13.0 personnel. 13.1 approval of certificated personnel, item 13.1.1 through item 13.1.8.
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion by John Alvarez, second by Merced Zamora. Is that correct?
Yes.
Are there any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried 5-all. 13.2, approval of classified personnel, item 13.2.1 through item 13.2.2.
Motion.
Second.
Are there any questions? I have a motion by John Alvarez, second by Sabrina Gomez. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried 5-all. 13.3, approval of summer school elementary personnel, item 13.3.1 through item 13.3.12.
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion by Merced Zamora, second by Freddie Espinoza. Are there any questions?
Nope.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried 5-all. 13.4, approval of summer school secondary personnel, item 13.4.1 through item 13.4.7.
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion by John Alvarez, second by Sabrina Gomez. Is that correct?
Yes.
Correct.
Any questions on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried 5-all. Sorry, Rosemary, let me know. 13.5, approval of extracurricular activities / coaching personnel, item 13.5.1.
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion by Sabrina Gomez, second by Freddie Espinoza. Is that correct?
Correct.
Are there any questions?
Nope.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried 5-all. 13.6, personnel action report, information only. 14.0, board business. 14.1, approval to attend CSBA conference on December 3rd through 5th, 2025 at Sacramento, California.
Motion.
Second.
That was John Alvarez with a motion and a second by Merced Zamora. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Are there any questions?
Are we voting for us to go or any,
I think it's the availability.
just to make sure, just in case we
Yeah,
change our mind?
You can let Rosemary know once we approve this, who wants to go.
Yes.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried 5-all. 14.2, approval to attend CLSBA Unity Conference on September 11th through the 14th, 2025 at San Diego, California.
Motion. Second.
Motion by John Alvarez, second by Freddie Espinoza, is that correct?
Yes.
Correct.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried 5-0. 14.3, consideration of any item any member of the board wishes to have on a future agenda or provide a written update. Zamora?
No.
Espinoza?
A roadmap of the individual who graduated with the associates.
Mhm.
Alvarez?
Evaluation of superintendent.
We're due.
Schedule a date,
We're
special
due.
board meeting,
We just need to set
a date.
a date.
Yep, if you could, please.
What's our deadline?
Passed. Okay.
Got it. So I would be, this is more for high school, I would be interested in probably, junior high. I would be interested to, seeing if there's any trainings for our coaches as far as like social and emotional well-being on how they, work with the athletes and stuff, and see if there's anything available for them.
Can we get with Mr. Mesa, and also Mr. Romo, see if they can look into that?
That would be fun.
Okay, I have no idea right now what I would like, so I'll say nothing at this time.
Okay.
15.0, business services. 15.1, new high school cafeteria dining location and agricultural farm development. This is on for discussion. Who's discussing?
Yeah.
How are you?
I know we're doing a tour, right?
Have we
Manual
decided
setting
on
up
a date?
tour.
I've been working with Parlor Unified. Dr. Rafael Iniguez has offered the ability for us to either show up on Monday, Tuesday, or Thursday of next week, whenever the board gives me a collective date, or a date that most of us, or if only two of us show up, we will not have to have a special board meeting. So,
Okay,
once I
so-
get that information, he's ready, and he's very excited to,
Anything for Monday for me.
anything but Monday?
Anything but Monday for me.
Okay.
Is anybody else interested in going?
Going to.
Mr. Espinoza?
Mhm.
And what dates are you not available, or are you available?
Tuesday works good for me. Just not Wednesday.
So Tuesday it is. Unless somebody else is able to go.
Well, I had
Did you
wanted to
say
go.
Tuesday?
Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday were the dates.
Okay, just not Wednesday, okay.
I believe my, that funeral's Tuesday, so I couldn't go Tuesday.
And if you give me a date from here till Friday, just give me a date, and then
Thursday.
I'll set it up with,
What about Thursday?
Does
Let
Thursday
me-
work
let
for
me
you?
check real
Thursday
quick.
works for me.
Thursday?
Are you available Thursday?
Thursday works.
Friday's not an option.
Thursday? Or no? Okay, well, just,
I can
Do we
maybe,
bring this back on the
I
next
can maybe reschedule something.
board after you guys visit?
we can, no, we can take a look at it, it's just for discussion, basically. It's
Okay.
part of the discussion.
Okay, I could probably reschedule something on the 19th, which is Thursday. Are you available Thursday? And Freddie?
Mhm.
Anybody else?
Thursday is good.
We would need a special board meeting.
We'll have to set up a special board meeting, so, because we have 3 attending
Thursday, yeah.
on Thursday, the 19th.
He is available anytime after 9 o'clock, so if we can, however long it, Thursday the 19th?
It takes us, what, half an hour or less to get there?
Is it? What is it?
45 minutes.
So if we can meet here at 8:30,
Juneteenth, huh? It is a
traffic's
holiday.
done?
That is a holiday.
Oh, is it that,
Juneteenth.
That's no holiday.
Will they be, open? They'll be open.
Can I just double check?
Yeah.
Even if we don't have the date right now, I'll get a date
Yeah,
before
even
this
if it has to be
Friday.
the following week,
Yep.
you know, or whatever.
Yep.
Then we'll have to recheck everybody's calendar. Okay, so, you've been provided with a map of, specific areas that might be available.
The reasoning behind, I think is very important.
Yes.
So maybe
I'm sorry?
the reasoning behind the locations is very important. So maybe Tony can enlighten us just a little bit.
So, Board board members, as you see on, the suggestion one is existing, what we had tried planning for, just a seating location for, the students' use of cafeteria dining area. So we have a suggestion number 2, which is located between the front office and the ag farm location right now. So, reasoning behind wanting to move for suggestion number 2 is it's already existing for a building to be a future building there. So the utilities are available, right? 2, the utilities that are not available, we did a poll, so the electricity, the power supply, it might become an issue. So those are things to look at. Once we get architectural designs and all information from them, the best suggestions will also give us that option. If 2 would be the best opportunity to do that, better infrastructure, installation of a building that we're going to be looking at, better design and accommodate the needs for future use of cafeteria food services for the whole district. Our existing cafeteria right now, we are going to be looking at doing just a dining, but also need the improvements over the years. So, wisely using our funding and looking at maybe future needs. That's why we brought 2 suggestions to you guys tonight.
Tony, can you elaborate? You said suggestion number 1 would be just the cafeteria, the dining area, but you
Correct.
said something about electricity. Can you elaborate on the electricity?
So our power supply that we kind of added to the pool, which was not kind of planned with the pool. So you have the pump system, which was needed extra power supply for last year. We made an assessment that we are now practically using most of the availability power out of the main power station that's just located south of the cafeteria, which is a main panel.
So the panel that's used for the cafeteria is being used to support our aquatics.
Yes, yes.
So we would have enough power source there to supply for a seating area.
Correct. So if we want to proceed with section 1, suggestion 1, then we'd have to look at maybe running more power from all the way across the campus, which our main power supply comes in from. Yes. So again, there's pre-existing future plans for a building already in suggestion 2, which we have some utilities there and the possibilities for better growth and structure for a future cafeteria, possibly using a multi-purpose room. Yes.
Infrastructure, then you're talking difference in cost of $1 million, $2 million?
Yes.
So we could save?
Yes, and again, the size of just doing a dining versus possibly utilizing for a multi-use facility. Yes.
Okay, so just so I have an idea, so if we were to use suggestion 1, we'd have to pool wiring and electricity across our campus.
Correct.
To be able to support that. And
Or requesting a new service, which would be hard to from Edison or Power Supply Company. So,
there's a cost there.
yes, it'll be more costly as well.
So the power supply is at maximum load now, we're gonna just load it up and over.
They have future problems, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
My question, I'm sorry if I'm butting in quickly, but when you're talking about district-wide cooking, that's taking up more space out of our dining and multi-use area. So for suggestion 2, if that's what we did, what would we do with the cafeteria that we currently have?
There could be several suggestions decided by the board. You could, use it for possibly a program. You could have a CT program for maybe culinary, so on. Yes, or we still utilize the back space for walk-in boxes that exist there too. But that's what would be one idea, is to put a program in there. Yes.
If we did use that for a culinary area, is that going to be sufficient space not only for seating, or are they gonna have to walk over there for their specific cooking? And is it going to work?
This is for suggestion 2.
To have a CTE program there at that cafeteria?
Oh, no, yes, I think you could easily accommodate the area, the entry point for a classroom, utilizing that space as well. I think culinary classes, you do kind of a lot of the hands-on and some seating, so I think providing some space there, readjusting that could easily accommodate for a classroom.
So the classroom would be right there as you walk in, that would be the classroom, and then the kitchen would be.
Correct, yes.
I like to go inside there. I've never been in there.
And I think the
Yes.
other concern or thought that I had was because I think we recently approved for upgrades in there.
You did. So that's one of the things, right? So our facility, the way we're using it right now, the upgrades were suggested for accommodating for comfort for serving, right? Air conditioning. Now, the design for needing more equipment in the future, need more cooking, hyper steamer ovens that we're now addressing to use for cafeterias. It's probably gonna need more gas services, more electricity services. So those are things. Another things that we need to look at too is the age of our sewage and our grease traps too. So if we keep on using it, we're gonna have to now in the future start looking at budgeting to improve the drainage, do new remodeling of the exhaust fans, also doing the upgrade system of the fire suppression system as well, the hood. All those things will start needing to be upgraded.
So the wear and tear now, because we're feeding 2,300 students through that kitchen as opposed to using it as a culinary CTE pathway of 23.
Won't be, yes, it will still be able to sustain
But-
that.
90% usage.
We wanna make sure that we don't run into that same problem down the road if we build it in another location.
So the location there, you know, you look at the location, it has more space. Again, you'll be a multi-purpose use. You could have the cafeteria in the back section. You have the access road coming off of the south end, the west end of the fire lane. So you can still, and still keep it dressed or, you know, it's appealing from the front as well.
That was another
Could
question.
have a 25 to 30-year life, and not have to do any major work, which is kind of what I'm looking at.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
Okay,
guess-
so this is just on for
Yeah.
discussion,
Just
really
discussion,
quick,
just for
anybody?
Yeah,
discussion.
so I just wanna discuss, my thoughts.
Okay.
Really quickly? I shouldn't have given you a break, come on.
Hibbity. No, I'm just joking. But kind of like the thing that's happened in the past with our development is like we missed a track, we missed the pool track, you know. And so for me, it's just I've never seen a cafeteria like this, and so I kind of want to see the best of the cafeterias like this because
For sure.
because we're already putting a lot of money into it, and if someone and all it was like say it was like, oh yeah, you could have done the concrete like this and it would have like elevated the look, you know.
Yeah.
And so for me it's more about the details, little things that other schools already have or something that I don't want to see something and then be like that's what we're getting. I want to see the best and be like that's what we could do, and if that is what we could do, then let's invest all our money into that and add that if it's already possible, you know?
No, for sure. That's exactly that direction I would like to go to as well. Yes. Yes. Making sure we look at our future needs for all our sites and creating better services for the students as well. Yes.
So the selection of both of these locations, the first one was because it's just closer to the cafeteria?
So, yeah, it's close to the cafeteria there, but the square footage, you know, just becoming just a dining area, right?
And the second location is because the land is basically suitable to be able to
For new
house-
growth,
for new
yes.
growth?
Yeah,
Yes.
infrastructure's there.
Infrastructure's there, you have power supply, you have gas supply there, you have water supply already there. Again, those are future plans for a building to be there. So now, you know, we just gotta redesign it with the architect and see, make sure, even to get power supply, if we need to get newer power supply to that location, it'd be easier to do so versus trying to get across that campus. Yes.
Okay, was there another question regarding that? My question also is, what are we doing with the high school agricultural, what is that, purpose of that?
So,
The ag farm?
That's what my question is. Does it take away from the ag farm?
so it doesn't really take away from the ag farm, you know, we're just making sure that we keep somewhat of a thought that, you know, the future of the ag farm could be possibly relocated. But we're gonna still meet the,
We're putting in all this money to put in shade structures and stuff, so, you know.
If you look at the suggestion, I think what Tony did with putting that green blob in there is that he's got two areas. area that's set up for a building is the darker green area. That
Create the
square
solid
oblong
piece,
area.
yes.
That other part is just extra. If you just look at the size of the office or the size of the current cafeteria, I mean, you could put two cafeterias, whatever the size of the cafeteria, into that green area.
Yeah.
So if we wanted to continue the ag farm, we also have all the way up to the very front.
Yeah,
of the area,
exactly.
So there's enough space there.
Yeah,
For us to grow our ag farm if needed.
yeah, we just need to make sure the
Okay.
doors don't face the ag farm.
No, no, yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any other questions?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you, Mr. Melendez. We're gonna check.
He's going to check.
We're gonna double check to make sure that's the appropriate day. No,
No.
we're gonna double check with Dr. Enriquez.
Okay, yeah. Okay. Thank you. Where was I?
15.2.
Thank you. Yeah. Public hearing on the 2025-2026 budget. We're gonna open it, or do we hear it first? We'll just go ahead and open it so we have plenty of time.
9:05.
Not a lot of time, but okay.
9:05.
Okay, well, good evening, Board, President Lopez, Superintendent Mendez. The slides are in your packet, so I'm gonna go ahead and go over this. This is a two-step process. So today is the public hearing. June 24th, we'll do the full presentation and with the recommendation to adopt the budget for 2025-2026 school year. Ed really dove into the weeds with LCAP. LCAP is part of the budget. And so I'm going to present to you the larger kind of 60,000 foot view of our budget. So slide 1, I'm covering the assumptions and some of the factors that are part of the budget. Of course, on your left, there's COLA at 2.3%. In the current school year, we were at 1.07, so that has gone up. But as I've mentioned in prior presentations, those can fluctuate, and so currently for this presentation, it's at 2.3. And so come July, when the governor approves a budget, we'll see where that is. There is word that it might go down 0.5%. So I'll keep you posted on that. But what does that mean to our revenue? So what that means is the COLA is applied to our payment per student for attendance. And so if it goes up to 3%, so then each payment for a student annually is going up by that percentage, right? And so part of the revenue, it's important obviously for us to have consistent enrollment, but then strong attendance. Because we can have great enrollment and poor attendance, and we get paid on attendance. And so the COLA does adjust at the student payment level. The other things that are part of this budget are some of the one-time funding, arts and music, not Prop 28, but arts and music, which will be expiring in 27-28. We are projecting to roll over about close to $1 million, as you can see there. And then the learning recovery, which is now built into the LCAP, about 2.3. So these are estimates, because we still have a few more days to spend some money down, and so not till we do our unaudited actuals will we'll actually know where we ended up in this school year. And we present that to you in the next school year around, I believe it's August, September. I did highlight that one of the projects that we are planning on is the high school fire alarm. It's actually currently already underway and that's going, but we did allocate $1 million for that project. So it'll probably be like 25% of it will pay this year, and we'll budget the rest for next year, but it's about $1 million. And that's general fund. Of course, we budget for STRS and PERS at those percentages there, and there's a couple of years forward that you can see what the trend is on some of these expenses that we put in our budget. And please, if you have questions, jump in. Otherwise I'm just gonna roll right along. This here is a snapshot of our revenue, and you can see how it's changed over the years. 23, 24, 37 million. 24, 25, that's this year. You see the dip, that's that COLA that went down. And then right back up a little bit for this coming year, which is highlighted in yellow. And then 26, 27, that's, I believe, 2.5% COLA. So we want to see those consistent 2-3% COLAs to help us with any inflation costs. So this is a summary of our general fund, right? And this is our main fund. It is broken up into unrestricted and restricted. Unrestricted is basically we can use that money with approvals and those kinds of checks and balances. But we can use it for lots of different things, whereas the restricted, that is like a grant, like the arts and music. And so the final column on the right is a combined snapshot of both unrestricted and restricted. The total revenue for this coming year is looking projected to be about shy of 50 million. The bottom section, those are all of our expenses. And in that expense section, you can see that there's certificated salaries, classified salaries, benefits, books, services, capital outlay. You see the $1 million there for the fire alarm system. All of that to a combined expense of $54 million. So when you do the math, our expenses are a little bit higher than our revenue. What I'd like to point out about that part is that what looks as a negative is actually is coming from our restricted side, which we've already have the funds sitting there. And so it's not really a true deficit because we have the money sitting there waiting to be spent. Now, come 27, 28, when those funds start to expire, we will have to make some choices about how to move forward, but we'll have to address approximately a $2 million shortfall in funds on our restricted side. Our unrestricted side's actually gotten a lot better, and you can all recall that in the fall we were having some conversations about our deficit. And so we have taken some steps to address that. We have looked at our position control, vacancies, and we've had those discussions with you starting this year, 2025, and we've made some adjustments. What we saw after making those adjustments for next year is that our deficit will be more like $141,000. Now it goes up a bit because we've now factored in that fire alarm system, $1 million. But coming out of our fund balance and our unrestricted will just be to cover that projected $141,000 deficit. So we're in much better shape, and that's good, especially since we're talking about a cafeteria project and possibly other future projects. We want to be in a good position as a school district to look for other funding sources. So whether it's a state program or any other sources, we want to be in a good position. And I know that there was a question, and I wanted to just do a quick plug on our credit rating. So our credit rating, we have an A+ credit rating, which is good. There are different factors that are considered when we are evaluated as a school district, including enrollment, consistent enrollment and attendance, because that determines our revenue. Also the growth of the community. So Farmersville is looking like it's going to be projected to grow because of a lot of the proposed construction sites that the city is looking at. And so having a healthy reserve is also part of that. And so those are all factors that give us a strong position when we do go out and seek assistance or apply for money that's out there. So the general overview though of the general fund is that we're in much better shape. The deficit is really coming from our restricted sources, but again, we already have that money that we've collected from the state and all of these other grantors. So come 27, 28, we'll be having more conversations about how to proceed. Any questions? All right. So this is the multi-year projection, and this is a requirement of these budgets and reports. And this is really to give you a sense of our fiscal position. So this coming year, 25, 26, here, this is a real big view of our budget. So our revenue, our expenses in that first column, the change, there's that negative 5 million, which again, most of it is on the restricted side, our beginning balance, and where we're gonna end at the end of 25, 26. And then you can continue on to the other columns to see what our projections are. So you can see that in 26, 27, that negative right in the center is $2 million. And again, that's coming mostly from our restricted part of our fund. And so we'll have to address those expenses at that time. But on the unrestricted side, we're doing a lot better. And so that's good. You can see that by the end of 27, 28, our ending fund balance will be about $10 million. So it's a pretty good position. Any questions? This next document is required as part of our budget adoption process. School districts are required to have a 3% reserve. Ours is about 9 million. So we are beyond that reserve. And so here I am designating some of the dollars into other categories. And so down below, so it's about $8 million that we're gonna designate for other things. And you'll see that there's the fire alarm system right at the top, $1 million. Cash flow, this is for our credit rating. It's a positive for us to have cash flow and so have some reserves. There's facility improvements and maintenance, $1.5 million. Capital projects, 2.5, and then safety. At the last board meeting, to highlight the $2.5 million capital projects, there was a developer fee study that we brought to you. And in that developer fee study, with all of the projected growth that the city of Farmersville is expecting over the next several years, that study did highlight what it would cost the school district to accommodate for approximately 131 students. And that estimate was about $3.5 million. In that study, they also identified what we would receive in terms of developer fees. And that's about $1 million. And so that's the difference that you see there. And so as a school board, these are things that we can plan on with your input and guidance and making recommendations on how to proceed. But with all of that projected growth, that'll be something that we'll want to have some ongoing conversations about and be in a good position when that comes. Any questions? These are some of the other funds. So Fund 212, that's that GO bond, that $2.9 million that's there. There's the developer fee fund, which has about $600,000. I think the last big thing that hit that fund was the apartments down the street here. Annually, when there's not a lot of activity, it's maybe residential, house being built down the street, that kind of activity. We did increase the fees, just to remind you, and so those become effective 60 days after you approve them, and so we're increasing our fees. And then there's a Fund 350, 351, and 356. That is primarily the TK Kinder project at Hester. And so we'll see that one wind down this coming year as we get closer to finishing that project. And as you can see, if you drive by, the modular buildings have been set in place, and Tony's working with the guys out there to get everything finished inside. And then Fund 400, the 400s, those are also capital outlay funds that we have there. One of the projects currently undergoing is the new facility maintenance down the street next to Snowden. So hopefully we'll be done with that one in the near future here too, this coming school year. I'll take any questions you might have.
Good deal.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, with there not being any further questions, we'll close the public hearing at 9:19. 15.3, adoption of resolution number 20-06-10-25 for approval of Education Protection Account, EPA, spending plan.
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion by John Alvarez, second by Merced Zamora, is that correct?
Yes.
Correct.
Are there any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried 5-0. 17.0, future meeting dates, 17.1, June 24th, 2025, July 15th, 2025, and possibly a special meeting later this month to do a tour. 20.0, adjournment to closed session at 9:20 to discuss 20.1, conference with labor negotiator GC 54957.6. It is the intention of the board to meet in closed session to review its position and to instruct its designated agency designated representative Emmanuel Mendez. Name of organization FTA/CSCA/management. 20.2, public employee discipline dismissal release complaint, government code 54957. 20.3, conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, significant exposure to litigation pursuant to subdivision D, 2, and E of section 54956.91 case. We're in recess for closed session.
Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you.
Psych.
Okay, still open session, starting back at 9:41 PM. 21.0, action taken on closed session items. As referenced earlier, 21.1, there was no action. 21.2, public employee, discipline, dismissal, release, there was no action. And 21.3, there was no action. 22.0, adjournment at 9:42.
Second.
We have a motion by John Alvarez, second by Merced Zamora. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried 5.